Hey cousins, welcome to Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas.
Welcome, cousins, to this episode of Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas. I'm cousin Cornell Wright, the People's Lobbyist. Today, cousins, we're going to talk about two things. First of all, is that today is the day after, the Wednesday after the election of 2020. I'm sure we're all thankful and hope all you cousins had a chance to go out and execute your constitutional rights to vote, and congratulations on that. We had a number of sessions during the course of time about voting, and so for those of you who missed those earlier episodes, I might repeat those again in the next voting cycle, okay? All right, but so for today, I want to talk about two things. And one has to do with an age-old strategy, and that is divide and conquer, or divide and rule, and if I get my pronunciation right, is divide et impera, which is Latin for divide and rule. Cousins, we are the United States of America. The whole idea is to become united. So I would suggest that the contrary, the better position of divide and conquer is to be aware and united. That's where we're trying to go, cousins. Because divide and conquer, that concept has been used over the centuries. As I mentioned, it was presented back in Latin. The Romans used it. And it's a military strategy that has in fact worked so many times, it's all part of military history and military learning. For those of you who have read Sun Tzu's book, The Art of War, he talks about the whole idea of how to engage in the enemy and how to divide and then what? Conquer. So if you will, the whole concept of divide and conquer, that is you take a big part, you split it, and the split will be two weaker parties. That gives you an opportunity to what? Conquer them and or rule them. Okay? So cousins, if that's the situation and we know that's a tactic that's being used, what can we then do to start to say, hey, let's get a little closer to this and become more understanding of one another and bring this thing closer? Now, as you know, in this episode of this show, I've used a lot in regards to discussion of the preamble of the Constitution as being a good foundation, if you will, and overcover for all of us, that if we all put our hands in and agree with that and truly live that out, I think we'd all get where we need to be. Don't you, cousins? So, divide and conquer is used by a lot of people and a lot of entities. It's used to divide us ethnically. It's used to divide us politically. It's used to divide us, sexually in regards to, and religious, okay? And recognize, cousins, that because this technique is understood throughout the entire world, and now with the advent of social media, it is used by those people who would like to do us harm and see us not as strong as the United States of America can be in order to help to what? Divide us. It's also being used by other elements within our country to divide us. If we divide and I say, well, I don't like the way you have your sweatshirt on, or I don't like the beverage that you're drinking today versus what I would like for you to drink, that starts to become a divisive element other than us understanding what can in fact bring us all together. So cousins, I'm going to start off with one quick one I think we could all start to agree on. And that is taxes. Now, I'm sure we almost get 100% agreement that no one really likes taxes. However, can we agree, cousins, that if you have taxes, everyone should pay them? All right? So are we so far afield in regards to some basics is that if you have a tax, we can discuss another time whether it's right or wrong or fair or equitable, that sort of thing. But if you have it, everybody ought to pay it. And if in fact you have taxes that aren't fair to everybody, shouldn't they be modified or changed to affect all of us cousins for what? The benefit of us, because the whole reason for having taxes is to bring money into the federal government for the federal government or state government or local governments in order to be used what? For the benefit of the cousins. That's one. We'll cover some more in future episodes, cousins. But so keep in mind that there are negative elements out there trying to divide us and conquer us, or divide and rule us. That if we become, in my opinion, and like for you to buy into us, aware and united, we are stronger and we'll be able to get to that better place for all of us cousins to be able to enjoy the fruits of our liberties. Now, let me talk to another element, cousins. And we changed things a little backdrop. Okay, so some of the things that people told me about the show, saying, well, gee, the brick wall was really nice. I love the brick wall. Hope you do too. But let's give a little bit more color, a little bit more character, give a little more insight about Cousin Cornell as your lobbyist. Well, I like comic books, and so I'll try to bring in a new comic book and change those over time. Let's change, for those of you who are a little bit younger and don't have comic books in your history, graphic art, if you will. This is the early graphic artists, folks. And then, by the way, I have an album. I love albums, the old LPs. Some people even saying they're coming back. And I understand you can press a button and you can get any music you want in some instances, but sometimes there was a protocol and the methodology of putting on an album that just made a little bit something special. Also, once again, the artwork and the graphics are spectacular on albums. So we'll bring you something to take a look at. The second cousin is that we have a new logo. I want to thank Samantha, my friend Sam Christian, for help creating that logo for us. And you're going to be seeing it a lot more. We've tried to use it in some of our activities and those kind of things. We now have a Facebook group page that's going to be a part of it. So it's a way for you cousins to kind of give us some feedback, and let's start communicating it through that medium, okay? Now, the other factor is that a couple cousins did talk to me, and people, deep friends of mine, I've known for a number of years, decades in fact, and they said, well, cousin, look, you got a little bit of a problem with the name of your show and, in fact, that you have brown liquor. Some of the cousins had religious issues. Some of the cousins had a personal issue in regards to, at some point in time, having too much alcohol in their life. I'm sensitive to that. I understand that. I mean no disrespect to anyone for religious, health, sociological, familiar, whatever reasons are as to why alcohol is not good for you or not part of your life. I would like for you to understand, as you look through the beginning of the show, when we go through reading the credits, that I understand that, and I put that out for my very first show in regards to the import and hopefully the appreciation of those who can and don't want to use alcoholic beverages. But I'd like for you also to recognize, even when I say bad ideas, hopefully there are some good ideas that will also come out of the show, one from my research, the things we're seeing and analyzing together, and from future guests we'll have on the show. They're not all bad ideas. So, cousins, if you can look aside from the brown liquor, stick around for the bad ideas that hopefully will be good for you sometime, all right? Because I want to be the people's lobbyist. I want to represent all the people, and let's do what's right for all the cousins moving forward. Can we be okay with that, cousins? Thank you. And so with that, continue wearing your masks. And as I mentioned, this is still the flu season. You have to go out and get a flu shot. I've been having flu shots for years. It helps you to be able to get prepared to get through the season. You don't want to get the flu. You especially don't want to get the flu when in fact there may be a spike in COVID as well. They look the same, and it's just, we don't want to do that, cousins. In many instances, you can start getting flu shots for free. Talk to your public health people. Don't take my word for it. Talk to your doctor, your local public health people, and wherever you go to get your medical treatments and see what they recommend. All right, cousins, you take care of yourselves. We'll see you again on another episode of Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas.
Welcome to the show. Here we go again. Hey, cousins, drink up, cousins. I got some news to tell you.